Guess I've run out of things to say. So other than that, I'm going to make a
Very
motion
often, does it?
that we approve the preliminary plat for Block 1 of Parkview Estates with no conditions.
Second.
If I may.
We have Wayne's motion, and we have Tim's second, and Gary.
One of the things that needs to be
There
done
was a
is
condition.
that a reason statement of relevant criteria and standards needs to be made, and that we also need to go back on the rezone, and the council needs to adopt the same
Okay.
reason statement.
And may they do both subsequent to this, or do you suggest that we back up a little bit and get the reason statement for the rezone in advance
Typically-
of the preliminary?
Typically, you vote on the motion and then adopt the reason statement, or you can
Right.
include it within the motion.
Right. What I mean is, right now, we have a motion and a second for approval of the preliminary plat. And so are you suggesting that they need to develop, the council needs to have a reason statement for the rezone that was just, the ordinance that was just approved in advance of voting on this issue?
No, I don't think
Very
that's
good.
necessary.
Thank you very much. All right. So we have this motion, we have this second. Further discussion? Sue?
This, in a way, this kind of reminds me of the situation we had of wanting to change the times of parking on Main Street across from Friendship Square, where people didn't want to have to walk very far, but they were going to exercise. And here we want to encourage biking and walking, but we want to make it shorter. And I do see, I mean, there are persuasive arguments on both sides, but I have the argument that two parcels of business would want to share and access and be able to cut through driving to each other. I see lots of places in town where I'd like to cut through from one business to the other, and they've specifically blocked it off because they don't want you cutting through. So I don't see that as a persuasive argument. Having a sidewalk that only goes halfway, I don't think that's appropriate either. I think as planning and zoning minutes aren't always inclusive of everything that was said, it was thoroughly discussed, and the Planning and Zoning Commission decided to leave it the way it is, and also to eliminate the right turn sign. So I'm in support of the Planning and Zoning Commission's decision and the motion.
Other discussion before voting? Tom?
I mean, I'll support this, but I really think it's silly that we're not seeing the value in walking through here. I also don't agree we need to bike through here, right? I ride a bike all the time. This is not going to prevent somebody from going to those stores. But what will happen is if there is no way for somebody to easily walk through that southern corner and walk around to, let's say there's a shopping center someday, right? I don't know. I think that's the idea with it being motor business. The person that's in this house here is more likely to drive around to go in there than to walk. They're more likely, it's crazy, I know. I think it's a crazy idea that they would be not willing to, but that's the way it is. Or they will not let their kids walk over there to the store. You know, they'll want to drive them around. And I'm just saying that this makes it a lot easier if there was. And I think we need to start, as a city, we need to start thinking about the benefits of putting in pedestrian access points between businesses early on in the stage, whatever early is. This seems early to me. I would like to see it happen right now. But obviously, I'm in at least a minority of two, perhaps. But it seems like it makes a lot of sense to me. But I think the thing generally needs to go forward. So I'd just like to see us value making it easier to walk than not.
Wayne?
One final comment then, Tom, kind of addressing what you're saying. At this point in time, I'm going to go back to what I said. It's so unknown what's going to happen to that property to the north. To say that we would put a required sidewalk or path in there right now does not make any sense to me. What does make sense is when you see what's going to happen with the rest of that property, and if it did become a small shopping center, it's very likely that you would see that the businesses putting that in would say, you know what, we need to allow some pedestrian access from the east, and they would put that in themselves. I'm certainly not up
But how
for
would
this.
they?
Excuse me?
I guess I don't know. My question is, I don't understand how these people would do it if
Can't
they
shoot the
can't
houses.
because there's a block.
Work with
But
me on this.
I am trying.
At this point in time, no. If when business goes in there, if business decides that that's the place to have it, then let business make that decision.
Just for clarification,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
what the discussion tonight is that this would preclude that access from the east because it will have been, it has been rezoned and. And
Potentially replayed.
Yes,
That's
ma'am,
right.
that's correct, but if business decides that they want to be able to make it easy for their customers to get in from the east, they'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Okay, Walter?
We're beating this horse way too hard. I'm not sure that you would allow somebody to buy a side of your yard in order to let people walk through there after the fact, but that's rhetorical.
Okay, you're going to let Sue have a question too? You have another comment or question?
Ma'am, I'm done.
You're done. Sue, did you have your hand up?
Oh, not so much as I was just thinking about the length of the Palouse Empire Mall and if we'd have to put a path through the middle of it. And I was thinking how far is far enough? You know, how far is too far to walk? And I don't think, I mean, that was just a thought, it's a crazy thought. So
If I
let's
may,
get to
there
the
are
question.
3 or 4 accesses into the Palouse
Right, but people
Empire
don't.
Mall from the south. Sidewalks and driveways.
Yes,
It's split.
yes, but I'm talking about the north side. Never mind.
Okay.
Don't go there.
So the motion and the second are to approve the preliminary subdivision plat as it's presented with no conditions. And any question about what we're voting on? Okay, we'll start with you, Tim.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, the motion carries, and the council is now tasked with identifying a reasoned statement for both the rezone and the preliminary plat. Dan?
I believe that the Planning and Zoning Commission, and Bill can correct me if I'm wrong, came up with pretty good relevant criterion standards and reasoned statement, and I would move that we adopt those.
Second.
If I may,
Yes, Gary.
I would like those done in 2 separate motions, if you would. So the zoning's different from the,
Okay, Dan, would you separate those, please?
Yep, I will move that we adopt the relevant criterion standards regarding the rezone as presented by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Okay, we have Dan's motion, Wayne's second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll start this roll call vote with you, Dan.
Aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries. Would you like to put forward another one for
I
the
would be
preliminary
glad
plat,
to. I
please?
would move that we adopt the reasoned statement of relevant criterion standards regarding the preliminary plat as presented by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Dan's motion, Wayne's second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dan, we'll start with you.
Aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries as well. And would the council like to consider this third item, which is Public Works Department's recommendation regarding the right turn only stop sign for southbound traffic at the intersection of McKinley and Jefferson Streets?
Yes.
Dan, what?
I would,
What would you like to do about that?
I'd make a motion to change it to what the, remove the, what is it, the right turn only restriction and just have it signed as a stop sign from McKinley to Jefferson with no other signage.
Public Works?
Isn't that what we're talking about?
If I may, I would suggest that you do not include a signage provision. and
Okay.
Just let us address that in our normal.
Okay, then
Procedures.
I'll remove that part and let them address signage administratively.
Okay.
Second.
Dan's motion, Wayne's second. Any discussion of that?
So the motion is to remove the right turn only, current right turn only provision.
Yep.
And to allow Public Works
Allow
staff
Public Works to figure
uh,
out how to.
address the other
That's right.
future signage administratively. We'll start this roll call vote with you, Tim.
Aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries. Thank you all. Appreciate